What will be only difference when compared to the previous loading of master? Previously we loaded attribute table only. Now we are loading text table. What will be the main difference? Target table will be T. Then what else? In the data flow, while loading, what will be the difference? While loading attribute table, what did I do? I just created data source, transformations, InfoObject, DDP. We done it will you have any difference in these steps while loading master and text? No rest. Yes, most of this is same, but only thing is while creating data source, I would choose a type as what? Text. Ante. Except that there is no difference. So it's like almost redoing the same steps again. Okay. So let me make sure. What is this InfoObject for sales channel now? Let me copy this and go to my InfoObject. First, let me make sure, do we have the text? Does it have text enabled? Yes. So my target table is ready with short and medium. And let me open the file, sales channel file. It has got key. I am considering this as short of this. It's all same. Anyway, it's this I'll take it to short, this I'll take it to medium. Okay. Done. My file is also ready. Now shall I start doing this? First thing is what? I'll insert that as what characteristic as InfoProvider. Now when I do this, you get only what? What this time you're getting only what? Text here. Okay, now let me go to data source. Shall I create data source now? Sales channel underscore, I'll say what? Text, okay. What type of data source is it? Add text data source. And I'll be giving the descriptions. Extraction, file, sales channel file, number of headers to be ignored 1, and then what is it? CSP, comma, proposal, let it propose. I'll go to this, this is char 1, this char 10 and 8. I can extend it to 20 also, I don't mind, because that's medium, short. For medium I can go to 40 also. For now, for understanding, I'll say short, medium, okay. Sales channel code is all fine, now activate. Now it is allowed for lowercase for these two, yes. Activate data source. Now preview. Check the data. Now it's all coming in. Now what? Select data source. Go to provider. Right click. Create transformations. Data source. This is my data source. So this is test. Transformation sales code to sales code. Name to short name. This to what? Medium. Language I don't have anything. But what language am I loading? English. So for all the records. For the two records what I am loading, it should take constant value as what? English now. I can use a transformation like this. Now right click on this and say what? Rule details. No direct mapping, right? Drop down, I will say what? What is constant? I will give it as what? EN. Activate. Next is what? Will this have PSA table? In the one 177, right? Now it will be 179. Okay. Next what? Create info package. Schedule and say start. 2 records, monitor, 2 records have come into PSA. Can I see this 2 records first? Manage PSA. Yeah, 2 records you can see. Done. Now next is what? DDP. Okay. Active. For DDP source is my data source, but what is my target? Text table. Schedule it. Yes, done. Loaded, done. Now go to this object. Now right click, maintain master repos. Do I see text table? So when I have this text, that's it, text table loaded. Now if I see this, so can I see text table there here? T and text table display. Okay, done. Now, will you have SIDs in the SID table of sales channel ID? Yes or no? Yes, because you load it into the master data of this sales and now I key SID2, S key SID3. This is about loading master data. అంతే మీకు స్లోగా చెప్పినా అంతసేపు పడుతుంది లోడ్ ఎంతసేపు పడుతుంది లోడింగ్ 2 minutes only it takes. ఏం వచ్చేయాలి యూ షుడ్ స్టార్ట్ గెటింగ్ దట్ ఫ్లో ఏం డేటా సోర్స్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇంకోసారి చెప్తే సర్లేవా అంటాడు యూ షుడ్ గెట్ టు దట్ లెవెల్ యూ షుడ్ ఫీల్ బోర్ వెన్ ఐ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ ద సేమ్ టాపిక్ అగైన్ నెక్స్ట్ వాట్ ఇస్ ఇట్ నౌ product will have what both this time it has got attribute and text both. Product I need to load attributes and text. Now let me go to let me find out what is my InfoObject name. This is my product key. Let me go to BW and see whether did I maintain both or not. InfoObject. Attribute table is maintained. Text is also maintained. So attributes, I've got attributes also done. Ready. Now let me open up the file. This is my file. Product key. What is product subcategory key? Weight, English product name, standard color, cost, color, safety, stock, product line, scale, all this, and then I got what is English description, model name. Yes sir, now look at this. If I open, it could be special case now. If I open this product key, I've got product key. What is the next column? Subcategory. So I've got attribute subcategory. You measure unit. What is this? 0 unit. And what is English product name? Do I have an info for product name? We planned it to store this in text table, if you remember, as a longer medium we store. So no, this column has to go into what? Text. Rest all has to go into attributes. Standard cost. So do you have standard cost attributes? Color. Where is color? Not maintained. Do I have InfoObject for color? Yeah, color is not maintained, so I'm changing it. Adding the attribute. So color is taken care. Safety stock level, do we have? Safety stock level. Not added. Where is safety stock? This one. Okay, safety stock. Then what? Product line. Do you have it for product line? Yes. Class. Product class. Then style. Yes, style. Model name. English description I don't have. Why? We planned that for text table. So rest all attributes are fine. Done. Okay, boss. Now, if you look at this scenario here, I got one file. But how many targets do you have in my source? 2 targets. One file but 2 targets. Yeah. So generally now when I was loading customer geography attribute, I had one file, one target. So since there is only one file, I create one data source loaded. Even the other case, sales channel text table, only one file, so I just create one data source loaded to the target. But this case, only one file means how many data sources you will have? Target guy. Okay, file unante data source will tell you what from which file you should pick, what columns you pick. So obviously you're going to have one data for one set of files. You'll have one data source. But how many targets? 2. So for one file you'll have one data source and one data source feeding into 2 targets. Possible. Okay. Okay, boss. But in this case, got this point. File, see, నాకు ఎన్ని డేటా సోర్స్లు ఉండాలంటే ఎన్ని ఫైల్స్ ఉంటే అన్ని అన్నట్టు అంతేనా, దాంట్లో ఇంకో పాయింట్ ఉంది. See, it doesn't mean if I have 10 files, doesn't mean you need to have 10 data sources. But if I give 10 files of same structure, I can use the same data source for all the files. Getting what I'm saying? Negative. If I give 10 files, but all the files I got same structure, same columns, I can use one data source because the transfer structure satisfies all the files. So I can use one data source to load all the 10 files. But in this case, if I got 10 files with different columns or different structures, then I'll have to create what? 10 data sources. Now I've given you one file with one set of structures, so you're going to create one data source. Is this clear? Done? Okay, good. That is one point. So I'm going to have one data source mapping to two targets. That is one option. Now, what is your two targets? Attribute and text. Okay. I think now you should get the doubt now. When I am loading attribute table, I should create attribute data source. If my target is text table, I need to create what? Text data source. Now I need to create data source which can satisfy both now. Two data source create either what are the file given to me, I should split it into two files. Or that I'll store one file with all the text columns into one file, attributes into one file, then I can go, because the file structures are different, then I'll create two data sources. నాకు అట్లా వస్తుంది, అది ఎవరైనా చేస్తాడు, అది కాదు టాలెంట్ చూపినట్టు, అది కాదు అన్నట్టు. One should be enough, that's what. But if one is enough, when you have two targets, attribute table, text table, how do you decide, now should I create attribute data source or text data source? Correct కదా?
That was something I was about to ask you.
So anyway, I'm going to come to that. Don't worry. Yeah, I'll read your brain. Don't worry. Okay, fine. Doubt on that? Now, if I go with attributes, it will be what? To the attribute table. Then how will you map it to text table? Okay. Yeah. Actually, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to create only this data source for this or this data source for this. Based on the type of data, they split like that. But what we do in this case, I'm going to consider this data as just data mesh. I don't want to say whether it is attribute or text or what it is. So in these kind of cases, what we'll do, we'll create a transaction data source. We'll create what? Transaction data source. Okay. And then in the previous examples, what we had data source and target, right? But I'll be using one more in the middle, some called info source. I'll use something on what? Info. Because if I use some data source here, I cannot connect to any of this because it says the attribute data source text and I want to have one source of it which can link to both. Info source and utundannattu. In 3.x we use info source, but in 7 info source is not mandatory. If I want, I can use it. In this scenario, I would be using info source because info source can connect attribute or text also. I'll create one data source, connect that to info source, and info source will be connected to anything I want. Okay, now, so basically info source, it's very simple, it's not mandatory. If in this kind of scenarios, we can leverage that option. Okay, or one data source also can connect directly. I can do that way also. We'll do that. Why do you get confused? I'll create transaction data source and map it to that. Okay, now look at this. Right click, say what I'm creating. First, let me. Where is my product? Shall I insert this as info provider? Okay. Does it get both attribute and text now? Two targets we have to load. Now go to data source. Suppose if they give two files, one file for attribute, one file text, then what you do? You would have done. You'll create two data sources, one for attribute, one for data source. Map the attribute data source to attribute table, text data source text table, two info packages, two DTPs. That you could have solved it. Right click and say what? Create data source. Z product. I'll not say attribute. I'll not say text. This is generic now. I'm going to say what is this? I'm going to say transaction data. I will say transaction data could be, you assume any data it is. Okay. No hard and fast rule that it should have so and so columns. I'll just say So I'll say transaction database. Now I'll say okay, extraction, my file product details, header row is 1, fixed length CSV file, then data subject is comma, then I'll go with proposal, let it propose, access to file, I need to close this file out. Go to the fields, it is proposed all the fields first. Okay, but look at this, now this one and this one, you will be sending it to text table. I get to see the preview. Okay, what's done? Now let's take this data source. Now let me go to provider. Select attribute table first. Right click on the attribute table. Say what? Create transformations. Source is what? Data source. This is my data source. What is my test source? Only it is able to propose this, but let me map product name, then model name to model name. What is the next one? Product class. Next product line, then product subcategory key, then product style, then standard cost. Where is the cost? Unit is mapped. Then where is the color? Then safety stock. Say except this English product name and this I mapped the rest all things. Activate. Now what I'll do? I'll map what? Transfer for text now. Create transformations. Product key to product key. For medium description I should say English product name. For long description I will say what? English description. And then language I will put it as constant as EN. Now if you see the flow what I have connected, display data flow upwards. So data source, one data source connecting to attribute table and text table, and each one of them has got its own transformations. Sorry, sorry. So if you see this, I have single data source which is loading into two targets, attribute and text bus. Now tell me how many info packages do you need here? Info packages. One. Because info package is specific data. Any data source numbers, okay. When you look at DTP, then to load from this data source to this one DTP, from this to this one DTP. Getting what I'm saying? So for every transformation, you will have one DTP. That's what. For every source and target combination, you will need one DTP. Data source info package is specific data source. So one data source, one info package. For this data source and this target, one DTP. For this data source and this target, one DTP. Now let me just run the info pack, create info package. Let it go.
So, but you said you will use the info source?
Again get confused. No need. Not mandatory. So then once done, now data is coming to data source first. I can show you that.
So in this way can one data source be connected to multiple?
Yes, yes. One data source can be connected to multiple targets. You see all those, forgot about it. It's all coming. Okay, boss? Fine. Now let me run the DTP. Now first expand attribute. You'll have DTP folder, right click, say what? Create DTP. Activate. Execute. Now attributes is loaded. Okay, if I go to my maintain master data product, I should say attributes, but the language column is blank and the descriptions are blank completely. If I go bottom, these are blank. Okay. So now will the SREs are generated without text? Is my text mandatory? No, SREs are already there. Create DTP. Execute and then that's it. Now if I seek my product, I will have both. See, I see the languages also. You see the long descriptions for some. So you see the language and the short, medium and long descriptions also. Done? Okay. You can see the SRE tables from here also. One blank record. So SRE server. Okay. What is next? Now let me just save this.